Congratulations, Miss Sue. You're pregnant with triplets. The doctor's words hit me like a bolt of thunder. My hands trembled as I clutched the blood test report. Triplets. Jasper Lynn and I had been married for 3 years, and we'd longed for a child all this time. Never in my wildest dreams did I think fate would bless us with 3 babies at once. I couldn't wait to share the wonderful news with him. I grabbed my phone and dialed his number, but his deep voice answered in a hurry. Clara Sue, I'm swamped right now. I'll call you back later. Jasper, I have amazing news to tell you. Later. I'm in a meeting. The line went dead with a series of beeps. I stared blankly at my phone screen, the excitement draining out of me. Jasper had been really busy lately after all. His company was negotiating a huge project. I understood, so I decided to save the surprise for the evening. When I got home, I began planning a romantic surprise for him. I bought all his favorite ingredients and even went to the bakery to order a small cake with the word, Daddy, written on it. 7 p.m. 8 p.m. 9 p.m. Jasper still hadn't come home. I sent him a WeChat message. Honey, when will you be back? I made your favorite sweet and sour spare ribs. Half an hour later, his reply popped up. I have a company dinner. Go to bed first, don't wait up. A twinge of disappointment tugged at my heart, but I figured I could tell him tomorrow. I drifted off to sleep with a heart full of joy, dreaming of 3 little ones calling me Mommy. The next morning, Jasper was already gone. On the dining table sat his half-finished coffee, still warm, proof that he'd left in a hurry. I was about to clear the dishes when his phone rang. He'd forgotten to take it with him. A name flashed across the screen, Iris Sue. My heart sank like a stone. Iris Sue, Jasper's ex-girlfriend, the love of his life, his white moonlight. She'd gone abroad to study right after we got married 3 years ago. Jasper had once told me that she was the woman he'd loved the most. If she hadn't left, they would never have broken up. Back then, young and naive, I'd believed love could conquer everything, that time would heal all wounds. Now I knew how wrong I'd been. The phone stopped ringing, but it went off again a moment later, still Iris Sue. I took a deep breath and answered the call. Hello. Jasper? It's Iris. I landed in Beijing last night. Why haven't you been answering my calls? The woman's soft, coquettish voice sent a sharp pain through my heart, like a needle pricking my chest. He's not here. I'm his wife, Clara Sue. I forced my voice to sound calm and steady. There was a brief, stunned silence on the other end, followed by a slightly flustered tone. Oh, hello, I'm Iris Sue. A friend of Jasper's. I just got back from America and wanted to catch up with him. He's gone to the office. He left his phone at home. Could you pass on a message for me then? I'm staying in room 1208 at the Hilton Hotel. I'd love to treat him to dinner tonight if he's free. My grip on the phone tightened until my knuckles turned white. I'll let him know. After hanging up, I collapsed onto the sofa. The 3 tiny lives growing inside me seemed to sense my turmoil, stirring up a wave of nausea that made me want to throw up. Jasper's white moonlight was back. I thought about the way he'd hung up on me in a rush yesterday, about his increasingly frequent overtime and dinners, about the strange expressions that flickered across his face whenever he looked at his phone. It wasn't work that had kept him busy, it was her. I pressed a hand to my still flat stomach, tears streaming down my face against my will. My 3 babies had no idea how complicated the world was, how fickle their father's heart could be. At noon, Jasper rushed home to get his phone. Someone called you, I said, handing him the device, forcing my expression to look natural. As he took the phone and saw the missed calls, a light sparkled in his eyes, a light I'd never seen before. It was excitement, joy, a kind of happiness I'd never once witnessed in him during our 3 years of marriage. I might be late again tonight, he said, not even glancing at me. Okay, I nodded, my voice barely a whisper. Jasper, I have something I need to tell you. I'll hear it when I get back. I have to go. He left without looking back, fleeing the house like a man running from his own shadow. Watching his retreating figure, my heart turned to ice. Should I even tell him about the pregnancy now? Chapter 2. That night, Jasper came home at midnight. The scent of perfume clung to his clothes, a sweet, floral fragrance that wasn't mine. Several long, wavy strands of hair were stuck to his shirt, and they certainly weren't mine either. You're back, I said, standing up from the sofa. My stomach churned with nausea, but I fought to keep it down. Yeah. Why aren't you asleep yet? His tone sounded awkward, forced. I was waiting for you. I have something to tell you. Jasper slipped off his coat, his movements stiff and unnatural. What is it? I took a deep breath and rested a hand on my belly. Jasper, I'm pregnant. He froze mid-motion, then turned to face me, his expression so complex I couldn't read it. Pregnant. He repeated the word softly, almost to himself. Yes. Triplets, I added, forcing a smile, my heart filled with fragile hope as I waited for his reaction. The doctor said it's very rare. We're so lucky. But Jasper only stared at me for a few seconds before saying, at a time like this. What? I didn't catch his mumbled words. Nothing, he shook his head. You should go to bed first. I'm going to take a shower. That was it. That was his reaction to the news that we were having 3 children together? I watched his back as he walked toward the bathroom, a wave of crushing disappointment washing over me. I'd imagined he'd be over the moon with joy, that he'd scoop me up in his arms and spin me around, just like in those romantic dramas. But there was nothing. No joy, no excitement, nothing at all. The sound of running water filled the bathroom. I sat on the edge of the bed, lost in thought, when my phone suddenly buzzed. It was a text message from an unknown number. Miss Clara Sue, this is Private Investigator Silas Zhang. I have some important information regarding your husband that I need to discuss with you in person. My heart skipped a beat. I typed back immediately, who are you? How did you get my phone number? We can talk about that when we meet. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., Starbucks at South 3rd Ring Road. I'll be wearing a black jacket and glasses. A private investigator? Information about Jasper? My hands started shaking again. Could it be? Could someone already be investigating him? Who? And why? The bathroom door opened and Jasper walked out, wrapped in a bathrobe. I quickly deleted the text message, pretending nothing had happened. You look pale. Is it morning sickness? He sat down beside me on the bed, reaching out to touch my forehead. I flinched away instinctively. I'm fine. His hand froze in midair, then slowly dropped back to his side. Clara Sue. Is there something you want to say to me? I looked at him, a million words hovering on the tip of my tongue, but in the end I only said, no. Let's go to sleep. That night we lay with our backs to each other, a chasm as wide as the world stretching between us. The next day Jasper left early in the morning once again. I stared at the empty house, my hand resting on my belly, and tears streamed down my face once more. At 3 p.m. sharp I arrived at the Starbucks as agreed. A middle-aged man wearing glasses waved me over. Miss Clara Sue. I walked over and sat down. You're Silas Zhang? Why did you contact me? I was hired to investigate your husband, Silas Zhang explained, pulling a brown paper envelope out of his briefcase. But during my investigation I discovered some things that I believe you have a right to know. These are records of your husband's whereabouts over the past month. My hands trembled as I opened the envelope. Inside were photos. Photos of Jasper and Iris Sue dining together, their hands clasped tightly under the table. Photos of them shopping at the mall with Jasper carrying her shopping bags. Photos of them standing at the hotel entrance, his hand resting possessively on her waist. And the last photo taken just last night. It showed Jasper and Iris Sue embracing on the hotel balcony, his lips pressed gently against her forehead. My world shattered into a million pieces. Who hired you? I asked, my voice breaking as I struggled to hold back my tears. A friend of Ms. Iris Sue's. They were worried that she might be getting involved with a married man, so they wanted me to gather evidence, Silas Zhang replied. But during my investigation I found that your husband doesn't seem to have told Ms. Iris Sue that he's already married. What? Jasper hadn't told Iris Sue he was married? What do you mean? Ms. Iris Sue thinks Mr. Lin is still single. She has no idea you exist. And Mr. Lin apparently has no intention of telling her. I clutched the photos tightly, my nails digging into my palms so hard they almost drew blood. I know this is cruel, Miss Sue, Silas Zhang said gently, but you deserve the truth. One more thing, Iris Sue has already found a job in Beijing. She's not going back to America. I closed my eyes and took a deep, shuddering breath. My 3 babies growing inside me, their father was wrapped up in another woman's arms. So much so that he didn't even want to acknowledge their existence. Thank you for telling me this, I said, standing up and putting the photos back into the envelope. May I keep these? Of course. And Miss Sue, if you need legal assistance, I can recommend some reliable lawyers. I nodded, grabbed the envelope and walked out of the coffee shop. The sun was shining brightly outside, but I couldn't feel the slightest bit of warmth. Chapter 3. When I got home, I spread the photos out on the coffee table and stared at them one by one. Each image felt like a knife, slicing through my heart with excruciating pain. I thought back to the early days of our marriage when Jasper Lynn had looked me in the eyes and sworn earnestly, "Clara Sue, I'll let go of the past and love you with all my heart." I thought of the pure joy I'd felt when I found out I was pregnant, of the elaborate dinner and cake I'd prepared for him. I thought of the perfume lingering on his clothes last night, the long strands of hair stuck to his shirt. It suddenly hit me, some people are destined to be nothing more than passing strangers in your life, while others are the unattainable dreams you can never have. I was the stranger. Iris Sue was the dream. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Jasper Lynn. "I have a dinner party tonight. I'll be really late. Go to bed early, don't wait up." I stared at the words and let out a cold laugh. A dinner party? More like a date with Iris Sue. I typed back, "Okay, have a busy night." Then I grabbed a pen and paper and started writing a letter. "Jasper, by the time you read this, I'll already be gone. I know Iris Sue is back and I know you two are together. I don't blame you, after all, you never truly loved me, did you? I'm pregnant. With triplets. But I won't use our children to tie you down. You're free now to go chase the love of your life. I'll take the babies and find a happiness that belongs to us. Don't look for me. We both need to start over." After finishing the letter, I placed it in the most conspicuous spot on the coffee table, then began packing my luggage. 3 years of marriage and I owned so little. A few pieces of clothing, some jewelry, and the necklace my mother had left me. I took one last look at this house, the place I'd once thought I'd live in for the rest of my life. At 8 o'clock that evening, I dragged my suitcase out the door. I'd booked a high-speed train ticket to Shenzhen. My best friend Stella Chen lived there. She ran a design studio and had been urging me to come work with her for ages. The train station was bustling with people. I sat in the waiting room, my hand resting gently on my belly. "Babies, mommy's taking you to a new place. Let's start over, okay?" As if they understood me, I felt a faint flutter inside my stomach, a tiny, gentle response. At 11 o'clock, the train pulled out slowly. I watched the city lights blur past the window, my heart filled with a jumble of emotions. Goodbye, Beijing. Goodbye, Jasper Lynn. The next morning, I arrived in Shenzhen. Stella Chen was waiting for me at the station. When she saw how haggard I looked, she pulled me into a tight, comforting hug. "Claire, what happened? Why did you suddenly decide to come to Shenzhen?" I broke down crying in her arms. "Stella, I left Jasper Lynn." "Why? You two always seemed so happy together." "His ex-girlfriend came back. They're together now." Stella's face turned livid with anger. "That scumbag. I never liked him anyway. Every time we met, he was so cold and distant, nothing like a man who truly loves his wife." I managed a bitter smile. "Also, I'm pregnant. With triplets." "What?" Stella's eyes widened in shock. "You're pregnant? Then we can't let that bastard get away with it. Claire will sue him. Make him walk away with nothing." I shook my head. "Forget it. I don't want to have anything to do with him ever again." "Stella, you said your studio was short-staffed. Do you still need help?" "Need help? Are you kidding me?" Stella patted my shoulder enthusiastically. "I've been dying to find a reliable partner. Claire, you've come at the perfect time. We'll build this studio up together, make it a huge success, and let that scumbag regret ever letting you go." Stella's warmth and passion lifted my spirits. For the first time in weeks, I smiled a genuine smile. "It's a deal then. But I have one condition: I want to work under my own name, and I don't want anyone to know I'm here." "No problem at all," Stella said firmly. "Starting today, you're Ms. Clara Sue, design director of our studio." At that moment, I felt a lightness I hadn't experienced in a long time. "My baby's in my belly, mommy will definitely give you a wonderful future." Chapter 4. My first month in Shenzhen was packed and fulfilling. Stella's studio specialized in high-end interior design, with clients who were all wealthy tycoons and entrepreneurs in Shenzhen. My design talent finally got to shine. I landed several big projects in no time. My pregnancy symptoms grew more pronounced, but I pushed through the discomfort and threw myself into my work. It was my only anchor now. Clara, are you really sure you don't want to tell Jasper Lynn about the babies? Stella asked one day, looking at my increasingly thin face with concern. The children are innocent. He has a right to know he's the father of triplets. I shook my head. Right now his eyes are only for Iris Sue. He wouldn't care about the babies. Besides, I don't want my children growing up in a broken family. But child support for 3 babies. That's a huge expense. I can afford it, I said firmly. I'll give them the best life possible. Stella sighed and didn't try to persuade me any further. That afternoon, I was working on a design proposal for a client when Stella burst into my office in a hurry. Clara, look at this news. She handed me her phone. On the screen was a financial news headline. Jasper Lynn, CEO of Lynn Group, announces engagement to Chinese-American designer Iris Sue. Wedding to be held next month. My hands trembled and I almost dropped the phone. The news was accompanied by a photo of Jasper and Iris staring at each other affectionately in front of reporters. Iris was wearing an elegant white gown, a huge diamond ring glinting on her finger, smiling like a flower in full bloom. And Jasper Lynn, I'd never seen such a smile on his face before. It was pure, unadulterated happiness, the kind of joy I'd never been able to bring him in our 3 years of marriage. That scumbag. Stella stamped her foot in rage. Who does he think he is? Dumping you like trash and getting engaged the next second. To her surprise, I remained eerily calm. This is for the best, actually. At least now they can be together without him having to lie anymore. Clara. I'm fine, I said, taking a deep breath and resting a hand on my belly. Babies, did you see that? Daddy's going to marry another auntie. But it's okay, Mommy will protect you. That night, a courier delivered a package to me. It was a divorce agreement. A thick stack of papers filled with dense clauses and conditions. I flipped to the last page and saw Jasper Lynn's signature. His handwriting was still as handsome as he was mesmerizing, just like the man himself. The agreement was fair, even generous to me. The house was mine, the car was mine, and there was a substantial compensation payout included. But one clause made my blood run cold. Neither party shall contact the other for any reason whatsoever, including but not limited to matters relating to offspring. He'd even cut off any possibility of the children ever having a relationship with him. I let out a bitter laugh, then signed my name on the dotted line. From this day forward, Jasper Lynn and I were nothing to each other. The courier also handed me a letter, written in Jasper's own handwriting. Clara Sue, I'm sorry our marriage has to end this way. I know I've hurt you, but I can't keep lying to myself about my feelings. Iris Sue is the love of my life, I can't lose her. You're a good woman and you deserve someone better who will love you truly. I've arranged the property division to be as favorable to you as possible. I hope you can find happiness. Forget about me. Start over. After reading the letter, I tore it into tiny pieces and threw them into the trash can. Forget about you. Jasper Lynn, I wish I'd never met you at all. 3 months later, my belly was visibly swollen with the triplets. The studio's business was booming. We moved into a larger office and hired more than a dozen employees. My designs had become quite famous in Shenzhen. Magazines were constantly interviewing me. Miss Sue, you're so young and already so successful, a reporter once asked me during an interview. What's the secret behind your achievements? I smiled and patted my belly gently. I have 3 very important reasons to keep pushing forward. I want to give them the best education and the best life possible. They'll be my pride and joy. What about Jasper Lynn? The reporter probed cautiously. Do you still resent him? I fell silent for a long moment, then shook my head. I did once, but not anymore. He gave me 3 beautiful children and he also made me realize my own strength. In a way, I should even thank him. Stella looked at me, her eyes filled with admiration. Claire, you've changed so much. The old you would have never been this calm and composed. He was right. I had changed. I'd gone from a naive young woman who was willing to give up everything for love to a strong, independent woman who could stand on her own 2 feet for her children. It was a painful transformation, but it was necessary. Chapter 5. 6 months later, I was admitted to the best private hospital in Shenzhen, waiting for my delivery. Stella Chin stayed by my side every step of the way. She was even more nervous than I was, the mother-to-be. Claire, does it hurt? Should I call the doctor? I shook my head with a smile. It's not time yet. The babies are still safe and sound in my belly. The doctor said I was in excellent condition. All 3 babies were healthy with a due date set for the following month. Over the past 6 months, I'd poured all my energy into work and preparing to become a mother. I'd learned infant care, bought 3 sets of baby supplies and even picked out their names. The oldest would be Felix Sue, the second Luna Sue and the youngest Caspian Sue. Morning light and evening glow. I hoped their lives would be as complete and beautiful as a full day. Miss Sue, someone is here to see you. A nurse stepped into the ward. I frowned in confusion. Stella was already with me. Who else would come to visit? A familiar figure appeared at the door. It was Jasper Lynn. He'd lost a lot of weight, his eyes filled with a tiredness I'd never seen before. When his gaze fell on my swollen belly, he froze in place as if struck by lightning. Clara Sue. His voice was soft, hoarse. I looked at him calmly. How did you find me here? I've been looking for you everywhere, he said, taking a few steps closer, his eyes fixed on my belly. The children. Are they mine? Stella immediately flared up. Jasper Lynn. How dare you show your face here? You're already married, what right do you have to disturb Clara? Jasper shook his head, his voice urgent. I didn't get married. The day before the wedding, Iris Sue broke up with me. What? I stared at him, my heart unruffled. So what? We're already divorced. My children have nothing to do with you. Clara Sue, these are my children, I have the right to... What right? I cut him off coldly. You signed the divorce agreement yourself. It clearly states that neither party shall contact the other for any reason, including matters related to offspring. Now you want to go back on your word. Jasper's face turned ashen. I didn't know you were pregnant back then. So what? Now that you know, you want to take them back? Jasper Lynn, I'm not your backup plan and my children are not tools for you to save face. My words were as sharp as a knife, leaving Jasper speechless. Clara Sue, I know I was wrong. That's enough. I raised my voice, my patience wearing thin. Jasper Lynn, please leave. I don't want to see you here. Clara Sue, give me a chance. Let's start over, please. Iris is gone now. All I can think about is you and the children. Start over. I let out a bitter laugh. Jasper Lynn, have you forgotten? It was you who ended our marriage with your own hands. Do you think love is a game? Something you can start and stop whenever you want. I was blinded by Iris. No, I interrupted him firmly. You just made the choice you wanted to make. Now that Iris doesn't want you anymore, you suddenly realize how good I am? Jasper Lynn, I'm not that cheap. Tears welled up in Jasper's eyes. Clara Sue, I truly regret everything. Every single day these past few months I've been torturing myself thinking about you. It's too late, I said, placing a gentle hand on my belly. I'm not the same Clara Sue anymore. I have more important things to do now, protecting my children. The children need a father. They have one. I looked him straight in the eye. Their father is me. Stella stepped forward at the right moment, her tone firm. Jasper Lynn, Clara needs to rest. Please leave. Jasper opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something more, but I closed my eyes. If you really care about the children, you'll never appear in front of us again. After a long, heavy silence, I heard footsteps fading away. When I opened my eyes, Jasper was gone. You okay? Stella asked, looking at me worriedly. I nodded. I'm fine. Thank you for chasing him away, Stella. You're really not going to give him a chance? After all, the children. My children don't need a father who can't be faithful, I said firmly. I can raise them well on my own. That night I had a dream. In the dream, 3 adorable little babies were calling me mommy, and we lived a happy, peaceful life together. No Jasper Lynn, no Iris Sue, just our little family of 4. And that was more than enough. Chapter 6. A month later, the 3 babies were born safely. 2 boys and 1 girl, all healthy and perfect. When the nurse placed them in my arms, I burst into tears of joy. Mommy's precious babies. You're finally here. Felix looked the most like me. Luna had Jasper's eyes and eyebrows, and Caspian was a perfect mix of both of us. Looking at their tiny faces, my heart swelled with an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. These were my children. I would do everything in my power to give them the best life possible. During my postpartum confinement period, Stella visited me and the babies almost every day. She would always sigh in admiration. Clara, raising 3 kids alone, you're such a superhero. I don't mind, I said, changing Caspian's diaper with a smile. They're so cute. No matter how tired I am, it's all worth it. Should we hire a nanny to help you? Not for now. I want to take care of them myself. In truth, raising 3 babies was far more challenging than I'd imagined. Nights were filled with endless feedings and crying fits. I barely got a full night's sleep. But every time I looked at their innocent smiles, all the exhaustion melted away instantly. 3 months later, I threw myself back into work. The studio's business was thriving. We'd become one of the most renowned design firms in Shenzhen. I often had to travel for client meetings, so I would leave the babies in Stella's capable care. Miss Su, a client specifically requested you to handle their project. It's a huge one. My assistant burst into my office, her voice brimming with excitement. What project? I asked, looking up from my files. It's the interior design for the new headquarters of Xingshi Group. The budget is 30 million yuan. I set down my papers, intrigued. Xingshi Group? The emerging investment company. Yes. I heard their CEO is very young, a returnee PhD named Theodore Jiang. Theodore Jiang? The name sounded familiar. When does he want to meet? Tomorrow afternoon at their company. I nodded. All right. I'll go meet him. The next afternoon I arrived at Xingshi Group, dressed in a sharp professional suit. The lobby was sleek and modern, exuding the energy and vitality of a young, dynamic company. Miss Su, Mr. Jiang is waiting for you in the conference room, the receptionist said politely, leading me to the door. When I pushed the door open, I saw a familiar figure standing inside. Theodore Jiang, my senior from university and one of the boys who'd once had a crush on me. Clara Su? It really is you. Theodore stood up, his face lighting up with surprise. I knew I was asking for Ms. Su, but I never imagined it would be my old college friend. Senior Jiang. Long time no see. I smiled, extending my hand. Theodore had matured a lot since university. Dressed in a well-tailored suit, he exuded the charm of a successful young entrepreneur. What are you doing in Shenzhen? I thought you moved to Beijing after graduation. My smile faltered slightly. Life is full of unexpected turns. Now I'm settled in Shenzhen. Theodore sensed I didn't want to talk about it further and quickly changed the subject. Well, I'm glad you're here. I specifically requested you for this project because I wanted an excuse to reconnect with you. Thank you for your trust, Senior. Let's discuss the specific requirements. We spent the entire afternoon talking and the conversation flowed effortlessly. Theodore's ideas were bold and innovative, his design standards high. They aligned perfectly with my own vision. Clara Su, we can take our time with the project details, he said as we wrapped up the meeting. But I was wondering, would you like to have dinner with me tonight? Catch up on old times. I hesitated for a moment. Senior, my situation is a bit complicated now. I know you're divorced, Theodore said gently, catching me off guard. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry. It's just. I heard some things. I let out a bitter laugh. Looks like my business has become quite the gossip in the Beijing circle. Clara Su, I've liked you since university. That has never changed, Theodore said, his voice sincere and direct. Now that you're single, I was hoping we could give it a chance. Let me take care of you. Looking into Theodore's earnest eyes, a warm current surged through my heart. After all these years, here was someone who genuinely wanted to take care of me. Okay, I said softly. Let's start as friends first. Theodore's face broke into a bright, happy smile. It's a deal. That night, I returned home to find all 3 babies fast asleep. I sat down beside their crib, whispering softly. Babies, Mommy met a very nice uncle today. He said he wants to take care of us. What do you think? As if he understood, Felix opened his eyes for a moment, looked at me, then drifted back to sleep peacefully. Maybe. It was finally time for me to give myself a new beginning. Chapter 7 Life with Theodore Jiang was peaceful and joyful. He often took me and the kids out for fun, and he was wonderful with the 3 babies, always spoiling them with all kinds of toys. Clara Su, look how smart Felix is, Theodore said one afternoon, grinning as he watched our 8-month-old son crawling on the carpet, already trying to stand up by holding onto the sofa. He's barely 8 months old and he's already trying to walk. They're all clever little ones, I replied with a soft smile, my eyes never leaving the 3 babies playing happily together on the floor. Theodore sat down beside me, his gaze warm and tender as he looked at me. Clara Sue, I've been wanting to ask you something for a long time. I turned to him curious. What is it? I know this might seem sudden, but we've known each other for years. You must know how I feel about you, Theodore said, taking my hand in his and squeezing it gently. I want to give you and the children a complete, happy home. I stared at him, my heart a jumble of emotions. Senior. Are you sure? I have 3 children. So what? Theodore said earnestly, his eyes shining with sincerity. I'll love them as if they were my own flesh and blood. Clara Sue, will you marry me? Just then the doorbell rang. I got up to answer it and the person standing outside left me completely stunned. It was Jasper Lynn. He looked even more haggard than he had a year ago, but there was an unshakable determination in his eyes. Clara Sue, he said, his voice hoarse. I want to see the children. Why are you here again? I frowned, blocking the door to keep him from entering. Didn't I tell you never to disturb us again? They're my children, I have the right to see them, Jasper insisted, trying to push past me. I stood my ground, refusing to move. You have no rights at all. You didn't think about any of this when you signed the divorce agreement. Clara Sue, I've spent every single day of this past year regretting what I did. That's enough. I raised my voice, cutting him off sharply. How many times have you said you're sorry, Jasper Lynn? Did you feel even the slightest bit of regret when you chose Iris Sue over me and our children? Iris is gone, Jasper said quickly. She went to France. She's never coming back. So what? I retorted coldly. That means I made a mistake, Jasper said, his eyes filled with pleading. The person I truly love is you. Clara Sue, please give me a chance to make up for my mistakes. It's too late, I said flatly. I have a new life now. I don't need your so-called atonement. A new life. Jasper's eyes darted past me into the house. Is there someone else in there with you? At that moment, Theodore walked over to stand beside me, putting an arm protectively around my shoulders. Clara Sue, is everything all right? When Jasper saw Theodore, his face turned ashen with shock and anger. Who are you? I'm Theodore Jiang, Theodore replied calmly, extending a hand to him. Clara Sue's boyfriend. You must be the children's biological father. I've heard a lot about you. Jasper ignored his outstretched hand, his gaze burning with fury as he stared at Theodore. Boyfriend? Clara Sue, when did you 2 get together? That's none of your business, I said coldly. Please leave. Don't disturb our lives. No. Jasper suddenly exploded, his voice rising in desperation. Clara Sue, you can't do this to me. The children need their real father. They don't need you, Theodore said firmly, pulling me closer to him. I'll be their father from now on. You arrogant bastard. Jasper roared, his face twisted with rage. Those are my kids. Your kids. Theodore let out a cold laugh. Where were you a year ago? Where were you when the children got sick and Clara had to stay up all night nursing them back to health? Where were you when Clara was raising 3 babies all by herself, with no one to help her? Jasper was left speechless, his mouth opening and closing but no words coming out. Now you want to play the role of a father? It's too late. Theodore said, his voice sharp and unyielding. Clara Sue and the children are my family now. I won't let anyone hurt them. Clara Sue. Jasper turned to me, his eyes filled with utter despair. I looked at him, my heart completely unmoved. Jasper Lynn, go away. Between us it's over. Completely and utterly over. I won't give up, Jasper said, his eyes glistening with tears. Clara Sue, I'll prove to you that I'm sincere. With that he turned and walked away, his shoulders hunched over in defeat. Theodore closed the door and turned to me, his eyes filled with concern. Are you okay? I nodded, then looked up at him, a soft smile tugging at the corners of my lips. Senior. That proposal of yours earlier. I meant every word of it, Theodore said, taking my hand again and pressing a gentle kiss to my knuckles. Clara Sue, marry me. I'll protect you and the children for the rest of my life. No one will ever hurt you again. I stared into his sincere, loving eyes, and a wave of warmth and gratitude washed over me. Maybe. It really was time to give myself and my children a brand new start. Yes, I said softly, my voice filled with tears of happiness. I'll marry you. Theodore let out a joyful laugh and pulled me into a tight, warm hug. Clara Sue, I swear I'll make you the happiest woman in the world. At that moment I truly believed that we would live happily ever after. Little did I know this was nothing but the calm before the storm. Chapter 8. Jasper Lynn's reappearance shattered the peaceful life I'd built. 3 days after our engagement, I received a call from my lawyer. Ms. Sue, he said, his voice grave. Someone is suing you for custody of the children. My hand trembled violently as I gripped the phone. What? Who is suing me? Mr. Jasper Lynn. He claims to be the children's biological father and is demanding full custody rights. My mind went completely blank. Jasper Lynn actually wanted to fight me for the children? What are his chances of winning? I asked, forcing myself to stay calm. Legally speaking, a biological father does have the right to petition for custody, my lawyer explained. However, as the children's primary caregiver, you hold a significant advantage. But Miss Sue, I must warn you, Mr. Lynn has substantial financial resources, and the legal team he's hired is extremely formidable. After hanging up the phone, I collapsed into my chair, my body going weak with shock and anger. Jasper Lynn, how could you be so shameless? Clara, what's wrong? Stella asked, rushing over when she saw the ashen look on my face. I told her everything and Stella flew into a rage. That bastard. He didn't want anything to do with the kids when they were born, and now he's trying to steal them from you? Does he think the law is a joke? Stella. Do you think I'll lose? I asked, my voice trembling with fear. Of course not. Stella said firmly, squeezing my hand in comfort. The judge isn't blind. He'll see everything you've done for those kids over the past year and a half. Besides, you have Theodore now, your financial situation is more than stable. The next day, Theodore found out about the lawsuit. Clara Sue, don't worry, he said, pulling me into a reassuring hug. I'll hire the best lawyers in the country to fight this case for you. Those children are ours, no one is going to take them away from us. But Jasper is their biological father. I said, my voice filled with doubt. So what? Theodore retorted, his eyes blazing with determination. A title doesn't make a father. A father is someone who is there for his children through thick and thin. Jasper Lynn abandoned you and the kids when you needed him most. He has no right to call himself their father now. Clara Sue, trust me, Theodore said, cupping my face in his hands and looking me straight in the eyes. I won't let him get away with this. On the day of the trial, I arrived at the courthouse dressed in my most formal business suit, determined to fight for my children. Jasper was there too. He'd lost even more weight, but he seemed to be in better spirits. When he saw me, his eyes were filled with a complicated mix of emotions, regret, longing, and desperation. All rise, the bailiff announced. The court is now in session. The judge rapped his gavel on the bench. The case of Lynn versus Sue for custody of minor children will now proceed. Jasper's lawyer spoke first, his voice loud and confident. Your Honor, my client, Mr. Jasper Lynn, is the biological father of the 3 minor children in question. Under the law, he has an inherent right to seek custody of his own flesh and blood. Objection. My lawyer stood up immediately, his voice sharp and clear. While it is true that Mr. Lynn is the children's biological father, he has failed to fulfill even the most basic duties of a parent for over a year and a half since the children were born. In contrast, my client, Ms. Clara Sue, has single-handedly raised these 3 children, providing them with all the love, care, and support they need. That is only because Ms. Sue deliberately concealed her pregnancy from Mr. Lynn. Jasper's lawyer shot back. Mr. Lynn was completely unaware of the children's existence until recently. That's a lie. I couldn't contain my anger any longer, standing up abruptly and pointing a finger at Jasper. I told him I was pregnant. He chose Iris Sue over me and our unborn children. Miss Sue, please remain calm, the judge said, his voice stern. Do you have any evidence to support your claim? I nodded, pulling out my phone and pressing play on an audio recording I'd kept hidden away for over a year. It was a conversation I'd secretly recorded between Jasper and Iris Sue, from the night before I'd left Beijing forever. Iris, I've taken care of everything, Jasper's voice rang out clearly in the quiet courtroom. Clara Sue says she's pregnant, but I don't believe her. She's probably just trying to use the baby to trap me. But even if it's true, I don't want that kid. All I want is you. The recording ended and the entire courtroom fell silent. Jasper's face turned deathly pale and he sank back into his chair, his shoulders slumping in defeat. "Now, does anyone still have any questions?" my lawyer asked, his voice ringing with triumph. Jasper's lawyer was clearly caught off guard by the damning evidence, and he struggled to find a response. "Your Honor," Jasper suddenly stood up, his voice trembling with emotion. "I admit I made a terrible mistake back then. But I'm truly sorry. I want nothing more than to make amends for my past wrongs and be the father my children deserve." "It's too late," I said coldly, staring him straight in the eyes. "Jasper Lynn, do you think being a father is something you can just decide to be whenever you want? Do you know who stayed up all night nursing the children when they had a fever? Do you know who cried tears of joy when they said, 'Mommy,' for the first time? Do you know who gave up countless opportunities to build a career just to take care of them? I did. All of it." "Clara Sue," Jasper whispered, his eyes filled with tears. "You have no right to call me by my name," I said, cutting him off sharply. "To my children, you are nothing but a stranger. Theodore Jiang is the one who has been there for them. He is the one who deserves to be called their father." The judge listened carefully to all the arguments from both sides, then announced, "The court will now adjourn to deliberate. The verdict will be announced at a later date." As we walked out of the courtroom, Jasper chased after us, calling my name repeatedly. "Clara Sue, wait. Please." I ignored him, quickening my pace, but Theodore stopped and stepped in front of me, blocking Jasper's path. "Mr. Lin, I suggest you stop harassing Clara Sue. I just want to talk to her alone," Jasper pleaded, his eyes red and swollen from crying. "There's nothing left to say," I said without turning around. "We'll see each other again in court. Clara Sue, I know I was wrong. I'll do anything to make it up to you. I'll give you all my money, my company, anything you want." Jasper cried out, desperation evident in his voice. "You can't give me back the year I spent raising 3 babies all by myself," I said, finally turning to face him, my voice cold and unforgiving. "You can't give me back the sleepless nights, the fear, the loneliness. You can't give my children back the father they needed when they were little. Now you want to take them away from me? Never." Tears streamed down Jasper's face as he stared at me, his body shaking with sobs. "Clara Sue, I really do know I was wrong." "Knowing you were wrong doesn't change anything," I said, my voice as cold as ice. "This is the consequence of the choices you made, Jasper Lynn. You have to live with them." With that, I turned and walked away, never looking back. Behind me, I could hear Jasper's heart-wrenching cries, but my heart remained completely calm and unmoved. Some mistakes once made can never be undone. Chapter 9. A month later, the court verdict came. I won. Full custody of the children was granted to me. Jasper Lynn was only given visitation rights, and those only with my explicit consent. "Clara, this is wonderful news." Stella Chin hugged me tightly, her voice brimming with excitement. "The children are finally safe." Theodore Jiang was equally delighted. "Clara Sue, from now on we are a real family." I stared down at the verdict in my hands, my feelings a jumble of relief and melancholy. I'd won the case, but what did that really mean? It meant Jasper Lynn and I were truly, irreparably broken. It meant my children might never experience the love of their biological father. "Mommy, why are you crying?" Felix tilted his little head up at me, his big eyes full of concern. The boys and their sister were over a year old now, able to say simple words. Felix was the sharpest of the 3. Luna the most mischievous, and Caspian the quietest, sweetest little one. I wiped away my tears and lifted Felix into my arms. "Mommy isn't crying. Mommy is just so happy." "If Mommy is happy, then I'm happy too," Felix said, patting my cheek with his tiny hand. Looking at my 3 precious babies, all the gloom in my heart vanished without a trace. No matter what happened, I would give them the best life possible. A year later, Theodore Jiang and I held our wedding. It was a small, intimate ceremony, attended only by our closest friends and family. The 3 children were dressed in tiny formal outfits, looking absolutely adorable. "Clara Sue, starting today I am officially the children's father," Theodore said, holding Caspian in his arms, his eyes soft with tenderness. "Daddy Jiang," Luna shouted, her voice babyish and sweet. The sound of those 2 words made Theodore's eyes well up with tears of joy. At that moment, I truly felt like we were a perfect family. Life after marriage was full of happiness. Theodore was wonderful to the children, and our company's business continued to thrive. We bought a villa in the most prestigious neighborhood in Shenzhen, ensuring our kids would have access to the best education money could buy. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. The children were now 4 years old, lively, lovely, and incredibly bright. "Mommy, why do all the other kids have a dad who shares their last name while ours is Daddy Jiang?" Felix asked me one day out of the blue. I froze, unsure how to answer. "Because Daddy Jiang loves you more than anyone else in the world," I said, squatting down to look them in the eyes, my voice earnest. "Some daddies are connected by blood. Others are connected by love. Daddy Jiang became your father because he loves you so much." "Do we have another daddy then?" Luna asked, blinking her big, curious eyes. I paused for a long moment before replying. "Yes. But he doesn't live with us." "Why not?" Caspian piped up, equally curious. "Because sometimes grown-ups have problems they can't fix," I explained gently, not knowing how else to put it. "Does he love us?" Felix pressed, his question hitting me right in the heart. Did Jasper Lin love them? I didn't know. Perhaps he did. Or perhaps it was just bitterness and regret driving him. "I don't know," I answered honestly. "But Mommy loves you and Daddy Jiang loves you. That's all that matters." The children nodded, seeming to understand, even if only partially. That night, Theodore talked to me about it. "Clara Sue, I think we should tell the children the truth someday. They have a right to know about their biological father." "They're still too young to understand all of this," I argued. "But they'll find out eventually," Theodore said, taking my hand in his. "It's better they hear it from us than from someone else. Besides, I want them to know that no matter what happens, I will always be their father." His words touched my heart deeply. "Thank you, Senior." "What is there to thank me for?" Theodore smiled. "They are my children through and through. But if Jasper Lin ever decides to exercise his visitation rights—" "He won't," I shook my head firmly. "He hasn't contacted us once in these past 3 years. I was wrong." The very next day, Jasper Lin showed up at the gate of the children's kindergarten. "Daddy Jiang, that uncle has been staring at us for a long time," Felix said, tugging on Theodore's hand. Theodore looked up and his expression darkened instantly. "Clara Sue, it's him." I followed his gaze. There, standing across the street, was Jasper Lin, his eyes fixed intently on our 3 children. When he saw us notice him, he slowly crossed the road and walked over. "Clara Sue," he said, his voice soft and hoarse. 3 years had changed him a great deal. He was thinner, his face lined with premature wrinkles, and his eyes held a deep, profound weariness. "What are you doing here?" I asked, instinctively stepping in front of the children to shield them. "I just want to see the children," Jasper replied, his gaze lingering on the 3 little ones behind me. "They've grown so much. They're beautiful." "You have no right to be here," Theodore said, stepping forward to stand beside me, his tone cold and protective. "Mr. Lin, please leave." "I do have the right," Jasper insisted, pulling a document out of his pocket and holding it up. "This is the court order. It grants me visitation rights." I glanced at the paper. It was indeed the verdict from all those years ago. "Clara Sue, I just want to look at them." "I won't take them away from you," Jasper said, his voice tinged with pleading. The 3 children stared at the strange uncle in curiosity, unsure of what was happening. I hesitated for a long time, then finally nodded. "You can look, but you cannot touch them." A flicker of excitement crossed Jasper's face. "Thank you." He squatted down, bringing himself to the children's eye level. "Hello, little ones. My name is Jasper Lin." "Hello, Uncle. My name is Felix Sue," Felix said politely. "I'm Luna Sue." Luna waved her hand enthusiastically. "I'm Caspian Sue," Caspian said shyly, hiding behind my leg. Jasper looked at them and tears welled up in his eyes. "You're all such wonderful children." "Uncle, why are you crying?" Luna asked, tilting her head in confusion. Jasper quickly wiped away his tears, forcing a smile. "Uncle isn't crying. Uncle is just so happy to see you." "Why are you happy?" "Because I've just met the most lovely children in the whole world." The kids giggled at his words, breaking the tense atmosphere between the adults. But Theodore's expression remained stern. "Mr. Lin, your time is up. Please leave now." Jasper looked at the children with reluctance, his voice soft with longing. "Can I just—" "No," I cut him off firmly. You've seen them. Now please go. Jasper gave me a long, meaningful look, then turned and walked away. Mommy, that uncle is so weird, Luna said once he was gone. What's weird about him? I asked. The way he looked at us. It was just like the way Daddy Jiang looks at us, she replied innocently. Her words sent a jolt through my heart. Perhaps deep down Jasper Lin really did love them. But did love alone have the power to erase all the pain and hurt he had caused? Chapter 10. Jasper Lin's reappearance was like a stone thrown into a calm lake, sending ripples spreading far and wide. In the days that followed, he began showing up regularly wherever the children went. At the kindergarten gate, in the park, at the shopping mall, his figure was always somewhere in the background. Mommy, that uncle is here again, Felix said, pointing at Jasper in the distance. I followed his gaze. Jasper stood there, not coming closer. When he noticed we'd seen him, he just gave a small, distant wave. Daddy Jiang, why does that uncle keep following us? Luna asked Theodore, her little brow furrowed. Theodore's expression darkened. Because that uncle has some problems he needs to sort out. What kind of problems? Grown-up problems, Theodore replied, avoiding further explanation. Later that night he pulled me aside to talk. Clarice, this can't go on. Jasper's behavior is starting to affect the children. What do you suggest we do? I asked tiredly. Legally, he does have visitation rights. We could apply for a restraining order, limit how close he can get to them, Theodore suggested. Or we could just leave Shenzhen for another city. The thought had never crossed my mind. Shenzhen had become my second home. It was where my career flourished, where my closest friends were, where we'd built so many precious memories together. Let's think about it some more, I said. But I didn't get much time to deliberate. The very next day Jasper took the initiative to call me. Clarice, can we talk? He asked, his voice tentative over the phone. What is there left to talk about? About the children. About what's happened to me all these years. We have no future together, I stated flatly. I know you're still angry with me and I don't blame you, Jasper said softly. But please, give me a chance to explain everything that's happened since you left. I fell silent for a long time, then sighed. Where? Starbucks. The one near our university, the first place we ever went on a date. I remembered that shop clearly. It had been the setting of so many sweet, innocent memories from our college days. Fine. Tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon. The next day I arrived right on time. Jasper was already waiting for me, a latte, my favorite, already placed on the table in front of my seat. Thank you, I said, sitting down stiffly. What do you want to say? Clarice, I want to tell you what my life has been like since you left, Jasper began, his eyes filled with deep, unspoken regret. It wasn't until Iris walked out on me that I finally understood what regret truly meant. Why did she leave you? I found myself asking, curiosity getting the better of me. Because she never really loved me at all, Jasper let out a bitter laugh. She only came back to China because she couldn't make it in America. She needed someone to take care of her, a fallback plan. As soon as she realized I wasn't as wealthy as she'd imagined, she dropped me without a second thought. And that's when you suddenly remembered how good I was. I said coldly. No, Jasper shook his head firmly. Even without Iris betraying me, I would have eventually woken up to my mistakes. Clarice, losing you and the children. It made me realize what truly matters in life. It's too late, I said, pushing my untouched coffee away. Jasper Lin, we can never go back to the way things were. I know you're happy now and I don't want to disturb that, Jasper said quietly. I just want to see the children sometimes. To watch them grow up from a distance if that's all you'll allow. Why? Because they're the only thing that gives my life any meaning anymore. Jasper's eyes glistened with tears. Clarice, I've spent every day since you left thinking about what could have been. If I hadn't chosen Iris. If I'd cherished you and the babies like I should have. What would our lives be like now? There are no ifs, I said, standing up to leave. Jasper Lin, the past is the past. You have your life and I have mine. Clarice. But, I turned back to look at him, my voice softening slightly. If you truly love the children, stop following us around like this. It's scaring them. Jasper nodded eagerly. I promise. I'll never do that again. And if you want to exercise your visitation rights, I continued, call me first. I'll arrange a proper time and place. A flicker of genuine surprise and joy lit up Jasper's face. "You'll let me see them?" "I'm not doing this for you," I said earnestly. "I'm doing it for the children. They have a right to know where they come from. A right to know their biological father." "Thank you," Jasper said, his voice thick with emotion. "I'll cherish this chance. I swear." As I walked out of the coffee shop, my heart was a tangled mess of emotions. Maybe I was making a mistake. Maybe I should have cut him off completely. But seeing the sincerity in his eyes, I'd found myself unable to turn him away. After all, the children were innocent in all of this. When I got home, Theodore was already waiting for me, pacing the living room anxiously. "How did it go?" he asked as soon as I walked in. I told him everything about Jasper's confession, about my decision to allow supervised visits. Theodore frowned deeply. "Clara Sue, are you sure this is the right thing to do?" "I don't know," I admitted, sinking down onto the sofa beside him. "But the children are going to grow up eventually. They're going to ask questions about their biological father. It's better they learn the truth from us and form their own opinions than hear lies or rumors from someone else." Theodore was quiet for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Maybe you're right. But Clara Sue, no matter what happens, I'll always protect you and the children. No matter what." "I know," I said, squeezing his hand tightly. "Thank you for everything you've done for us these past few years. For your patience, for your understanding." "Silly girl," Theodore smiled, pulling me into a hug. "We're husband and wife. This is what family does." A month later, Jasper had his first official visit with the children. I chose the amusement park as the meeting place, somewhere the kids could have fun, somewhere the atmosphere wouldn't be too awkward or tense. "Children, Mommy has something important to tell you," I said, squatting down to look them in the eyes, my voice gentle but serious. "That Uncle Lin who's been coming to see us? He's actually your birth father." All three children froze, their eyes wide with confusion. "What does that mean?" Felix asked, the first to recover. "Don't we already have Daddy Jiang?" "Daddy Jiang is the daddy who loves you and takes care of you every day," I explained, searching for the right words to make it understandable to their young minds. "Uncle Lin is the daddy who gave you life. It's like how a flower has a seed that grows into the plant, and a gardener who waters it and helps it bloom. Both are important in their own way." "Oh." The children nodded, looking half understanding. Just then Jasper walked over, a large bag in his hand. He was dressed in a neat shirt and trousers, looking nervous but determined. In his hands were 3 beautifully wrapped gift boxes. "Felix, Luna, Caspian," he said, squatting down to their level, his voice soft and careful. "I'm your biological father. I know we haven't spent much time together, but I want you to know this: I love you all very much. More than words can say." The children stared at him, shy and curious, not saying a word. "These are for you," Jasper said, offering them the gift boxes with a tentative smile. Felix hesitated for a moment, then reached out to take his. "Thank you, Uncle. Daddy." Encouraged by his brother, Luna and Caspian quickly took their gifts too. "You can call me Daddy Lin if you want," Jasper said, his eyes brimming with tears of joy. "Or whatever feels most comfortable to you." That day, surprisingly, everything went smoothly. Jasper was patient and kind, playing games with the children, buying them ice cream, listening intently to every little story they told him. Watching them together, I felt a wave of complicated emotions wash over me. If time could turn back. If we'd never separated, would we have been a happy family of 5 just like this? But there were no second chances. No do-overs in life. At 6 o'clock in the evening, the visit came to an end. "Kids, Daddy Lin has to go now," Jasper said, looking at them with obvious reluctance. "Daddy Lin, will you come back again?" Caspian asked, his little voice hopeful. "If you want me to," Jasper replied. "I want you to," Luna shouted, raising her hand excitedly. "Me too," Caspian echoed. Felix thought for a moment, then nodded solemnly. "I want you to come back too, Daddy Lin." Jasper's eyes filled with tears again. He knelt down and hugged each of the children gently. "I promise. I'll definitely come back to see you soon." After sending Jasper off, we returned home. The children were buzzing with excitement, chattering non-stop about their day. "Mommy, Daddy Lin is so much fun." Luna giggled. "He taught me how to shoot hoops," Felix said proudly, mimicking the motion. "He said I'm a very smart boy," Caspian added, a shy smile on his face. Watching my children's happy faces, my heart felt light and heavy at the same time. Maybe this was for the best. At least the children were happy. Theodore walked over and wrapped his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. "What are you thinking about, Clara Sue?" "Nothing," I said, smiling and leaning back against his chest. "Just that our babies are growing up so fast. They're starting to have minds of their own." "They are," Theodore agreed, squeezing me gently. "But no matter what happens, we're a family. Always." Yes, we were a family. Jasper Lin might be the children's biological father, but Theodore Jiang was the rock that held our family together. And that was more than enough. From then on, Jasper visited the children once a month. Slowly but surely, the kids grew accustomed to having two fathers in their lives. We were all learning little by little how to find a balance in this complicated, unconventional relationship. Life moved forward as it always does. We all continued on our own paths, carrying our pasts with us but focusing on the future. Some wounds would never fully heal. But time had a way of softening the pain, of making the unthinkable bearable. I was grateful that I'd found the courage to leave when I did. Grateful that I'd met Theodore Jiang. Most of all, I was grateful for my 3 amazing children, the lights of my life, my reason for being. This is my story. A story about choices, about growth, about courage. May every woman find the strength to choose a better life for herself and her children. May every child grow up surrounded by love and happiness. And may every person who finds true love cherish it and never take it for granted.